Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I am leaking a video from the social media marketing agency blueprint program, okay? And basically, what I wanted to do is share with you a really important module because it's one that I recently developed, and as you know, the course is in constant development, okay? So it's open for enrollment now, but of course you can also wait until it's finished to enroll, although the price will be higher. I'm constantly getting feedback from people, and one of the things that I learned I need to talk about more is what do you actually need on like a minimum level, okay? And so the whole theme of that program is just getting to the bare minimum level that we need in order to make a profit and actually start bringing in money. And so what I've coined a term for is I've coined the term minimum viable agency, so your MVA. And in this module, we're actually helping you map out your MVA. And there are some downloadables and some actual documents that you're going to need to download that are referenced in this module, and you can find those in the description below. I think it has a mapping your MVA worksheet, and I believe there may be a printout of some kind. I could be wrong on that, but if there is, all those links are in the description. So I'm not going to say much more about this other than if you don't watch this in full, you are missing out on a really incredible module and something that will make you a lot of money, because it will really help you realize how simple it is to start and how little you truly need, okay? And I'm not just saying this so that you can feel like, oh, I can do this too, I'm gonna buy Trey's program. Like, I'm fully aware that a lot of you are very attuned to marketing messages and trying to see through the lies. Genuinely, you only need 3 things to start. And these 3 things are within just about everybody's reach, all right? There are some people who obviously can't reach these 3 things, but if you are a part of the 99% that can, then you are in just as good a place to start a social media marketing agency than as anybody else. And so it's a really valuable module, and I really hope you watch the whole video, as you know, again, this is paid content from a high-ticket program. So if you enjoy it, definitely leave a like, leave a comment, share some thoughts down below, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you're interested in the program, again, the link is in the description, but I will be leaking more content soon, and if you'd rather work one-on-one with me, you can invest in my coaching program. I know a lot of people prefer that than the actual course itself. So thanks once again for watching. I hope you enjoy the module. Hey everyone, and welcome to week 1, day 2, and this module is titled Minimum Viable Agency. And we're sort of going to be discussing what it means to build a minimum viable agency, and this is just something that is effective and it gets the job done, right? It's not any more complex than it needs to be. It does everything that we need it to in order to serve clients, and really that's all we need, okay? And I'm going to teach you, how you can think when it comes to, staying lean, staying effective, and really I'm going to help you map a proof of concept. And that's really what I want to do for you, and that's why I included this GIF in the background of Indiana Jones shooting that swordsman, guys, because the swordsman's all flashy and fancy, and Indiana Jones just pulls out a gun and just shoots him. And really, that's pretty much what we're doing. We're doing what needs to be done, and it's not flashy, it's not sexy, it's just highly effective, and it doesn't take that much effort. And that's really what we're going to do. So here's what we're going to cover in this module. First is making minimum viable your sole focus. So you'll be tempted to focus on lots of different side projects or different ideas or different different, even business models. You may even not even finish this course and actually take the action steps and actually build an agency. You may just do your own thing, and I just want to make minimum viable your sole focus, right? So you have your 3 things that you have to focus on. I want to help you know what minimum viability really looks like, and we already covered this a little bit in the first day, but I want to go much more in depth and actually define your minimum viable and make it your focus. So next is defining your baby minimum viable agency. So this is going to be like V 1.0 or V0.01 even, just very minimum but effective. Like, we can make money with this thing and it will generate us money, and it's just our job to iterate it over time. Okay, so we're just going to get to a point now in this module basically where we are capable of making a profit. All right. Next is avoiding pitfalls and seeing through lies. So there's a lot of noise in the run your own business, run your own internet business space, right? And I also want to avoid some pitfalls that you may experience and that I experienced when starting. And I just want to help you avoid these when it comes to just starting from a very, again, minimum viable vantage point. Next is complexity lacks virtue, and wisdom is found in the simple and applicable. And so this is a bit more philosophical, right? But basically, it's grounded in the idea that practical, applicable advice is much more valuable when it comes to actually getting things done than complex, theoretical, imaginative, abstract thought is, right? And so I want to help us really develop a love for these things, okay? Just the simple, the straight to the point, and the applicable action steps. That's really where we want to be looking for, and that's what we want to find, and that's what I'm hoping to give you in this program. Next is the relentless pursuit of proof of concept. So I want to help train in you, again, a love for and a passion for and a relentless pursuit of proof of concept. And I'll actually define what proof of concept is, and I'll give some examples of proof of concept. And really all it is just ground zero, right? So we have our minimum viable agency, which allows us to create proof of concept, which is, and I'll explain really what that means in this module and why that's super, super important if you're starting really any business, but especially this one because it's very easy to get distracted. And lastly, developing a passion for finding effective actions instead of a passion for busy work. So you may be tempted to take this course and all you do with it is create a new daily to-do list, and you just hit the to-do list, and that's fine. To-dos are good, but you just got to make sure that they're actually aligned with what you're trying to achieve, okay? And so I want to help you understand why busy work is pointless and why most work is actually pointless, why really 90% of the work that we do is pointless, and how to actually key in on the effective and powerful actions that we can use to actually build a real business. So it's going to be a really good module. You must watch it all the way to the end. Again, this is not optional. If you want to be in this program, you're going to watch all these videos in full and actually take them in, okay? So, making minimum viable your sole focus. So, a good example of minimum viable could be Amazon. So, Amazon is a great example of this, right? They started with books, and all they did was ship books to online buyers, and that was it. And it was a completely new idea, and people loved it. So slowly they expanded to meet more needs, but only as they were made known to the company. They've stayed minimum viable the whole time, okay? So they are just as big as they need to be in order to meet the need of the market that they're serving, and they're no bigger, and really rarely have they been smaller, right? So, they started with books, and slowly they expanded as people asked and sent emails saying, hey, I would, what do you think about selling, instead of just books, what about CDs and audiobooks as well? Okay, they did that. And then once they realized they could do CDs, then they're like, oh, shoot, well, we can, ship out whole, other things. So why would we just stick to books? So they slowly started introducing more markets, right? And it's a great example. They didn't try and jump the gun. Amazon, as it is today, could not exist if it didn't start out the way that it did. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. That's just the way with a lot of companies, and we'll give some more examples here in a minute. And lean, mean efficiency. So business is a game of selling a certain result for a buyer, okay? The less complicated you make the process of getting that result for the buyer, the better. With a minimum viable, there are far less moving parts in order to create a certain outcome. And I'll give you an example of this here in a moment, a really, really good one, actually. And I'm excited to share it. And really you want as few moving parts as possible, right? So really the only true moving parts in my business today is, team members, probably my time, and my laptop. My laptop has to have Wi-Fi, and the moving parts are just, the different variables within the business, like the communication platform I use for all of my clients, and, the ad campaigns or whatever, and then you have, and for any business, there are moving parts. There are tools that they use, and there are different pieces that go into making up the whole, and so you want to have as few pieces and as few moving parts as possible, and that's what we're doing in this module, is developing that minimum viable, which is as few moving parts as possible in order to get us to profitability, okay? Next is it forces us to think effectively. So less is more. So when you have a clear goal and a clear path of achieving it, you can actually pour masses of energy into that path. So what is the goal? It's to get results for buyers, right? And so when you are selling anything, it's not so much about the process of selling it or how you sell it or anything like that. It's more so just about the result that the buyer achieves, okay? And so you can see this, for example, with like luxury brands like Louis Vuitton or Gucci or whatever. You know, the process of creating the product is quite simple for a lot of these. Not all of them. Some of them are truly luxury and they put a lot of work into them. But for the most case, it's purely just a price thing and it's a feeling that they're selling. They're selling a feeling, right? So at the end of the day, they maintain profitable and they maintain highly scalable because it's an easy result to get for a buyer because they're not selling anything complicated, right? So moving on. Defining your baby minimum viable agency, right? So first I have a worksheet. So beneath this video, I've actually linked a worksheet that will force you to use your head to come up with a few different angles that you can approach this with. And the goal is that by the end of this exercise, you have a decent view of what you'd like to achieve and the first 1 to 2 steps to get there. So I'm actually going to show you real quick, and this is the first time I've done this in this course. We'll see how this goes. I actually have the worksheet right here. I meant to close these tabs earlier. But here you are. So defining your baby MVA. So we have a couple questions here, and you just have to go through these and answer them honestly, okay? And I recommend you print this and actually write them physically on the paper and then keep the paper next to your workspace. So question 1 is, what is a digital marketing related service you could offer today and be paid, in your mind, at least $1,000 a month for? And then in parentheses we have, if you can't think of one or don't have any, what's a service that if you spent at least a month studying, you can charge $1,000 a month for? And what's interesting is that most people, when asked, you know, what's it within the parentheses, they can come up with quite a few services. And so I want you to do that. And that's the thing is, with this, you know, if you can't list at least 1 or 2, if not 5 or 6 services that right now you can get paid $1,000 a month for, you're going to have to do a little bit of studying and testing, and that's okay. That's where I suspect you're at in this program. So go ahead and write out at least, I want you to write out at least 10, all right? And if you can't think of 10, you know, that's the thing is we've got some work to do, and that's okay. And a lot of people are thinking, man, does Trey really expect me to be able to have 10 services I get paid $1,000 a month for? Well, here's the thing. It's nowhere near as hard as you think it is, all right? So what I'm trying to do is remove the romanticism of you getting paid and how hard it feels to get there, because it's really not. It's very similar to a gratefulness journal where in order to stay grateful, you write down the things that you're grateful for. It's almost the same mechanism where, and if you write down the services that you know you can charge this much for, it becomes very reasonable and very easy for you to understand that this is not that hard to charge. So I want you to write out at least 10, and if you can't think of any that you could do now, give yourself a month to study, and then after the month, write the 10 that you believe you could be able to handle after that month. So then question 2 is, could you find contractors online to help you deliver the service within at least 4 days? And I'll actually be showing you how to use freelance websites to do this soon. You just post it, and then you get tons of applications. And, you know, if you already know how to do that, then answer this question. If you don't know how to do that, it's okay. Just simple yes or no question. And if yes, how would you do that? If no, that's okay. But, you know, you'll learn how very quickly. And this really is, all this is designed to do is help you understand that, look, even if you can't get results right now, and if you can't sell the service yourself, you can always find contractors. Question 3 is, who off the top of your mind, if anyone, would you be able to get a meeting with this week to discuss the logistics of implementing the service into their business? So it'd be family, friends, associates, online audience, etc. Okay? And so, you know, what you really want to do here is kind of define for yourself, look, if I'm going to be doing one of these up here, one of the 10, who could I actually sell these things to? Okay, who would actually be interested? And a lot of people actually are already pretty decently well networked with a couple local business owners or some people that are mentors of them or friends of friends or family or whatever. And I want you to write out, again, at least 10 people, right? If not 10 people, 10 groups of people, all right? So that we have tons and tons of options, right? Question 4, what niche or niches would this service work for? So you got gyms, orthodontists, lawyers, real estate agents, personal trainers, e-commerce companies, etc. Think of, again, at least 10, all right? So I want you to think of a bunch of niches. I want you to think of a bunch of services. I want you to think of a bunch of options for people that you could sell to now, okay? So niches is people that you don't really know now or people that you're not well networked with, and that's okay. But here we have people that you actually already know and you could reach out to today. Question 5 is, in a perfect world where you're never going to lose a client even if they despise you, do you believe you can get 1.5x return on investment from the client? Simple yes or no question. And this is really, don't lie to yourself, okay? Don't say yes if you don't feel like it. Don't say no just to beat yourself up and feel like you have to have a higher standard. genuinely, can you get a 1.5x return on investment for a client? And just do the math, all right? And I know a lot of you aren't at a place where you can do the math just yet. That's okay. But if you can, or you can think this through in your head, just simple yes or no here is good. And question 6 is, if you can get at least 1.5x on return on investment when working with a client, is there anything else stopping you from getting this client? So this is really filling in a gap that I feel a lot of people might have. Maybe there's other things keeping them from getting the client. For example, they have a lot of people feel as if, their, country of origin is a problem, like their accent or whatever. Some people have problems with speech. Some people have problems with, all kinds of different limitations. I just want you to write out maybe other reasons why you believe you can't get it. And then question number 7, let's say you aren't able to get the results you believe you could and you need to refund a client. What's your action plan to recover from this and get back out into the market and sell again? So this is just an exercise where you're actually really just going to think through, all right, worst case scenario, I don't get results and I give them a refund, or I don't get results and then they're not happy and they don't want, they're upset with me, whatever. What's your action plan to recover from this, right? So example could be, I'm going to get back to the lab and actually try again and reach out to more people. And, I really think you just need to understand emotionally and practically what you're going to do if this happens. So you actually write it out, because a lot of people, they're scared of not getting results and they're scared of people not being happy with them, and it keeps them from taking action. So really write this out and think this through. What's your action plan? And question number 8 is, do you have a mental picture of of a service, a few niches to experiment with, and a clear-ish, and it does not have to be that clear, idea of the result you'd like to drive for a client? And if yes, good, you're done and we can continue forward. If no, remember, a bad map is much more preferable than no map at all. In a perfect world, we'd have a perfect map, but the market needs us to go to it first before it will give us directions. So for now, we'll be willing to have a poor map and call it good, but always iterate on it as you learn along the way. If you feel the need to consult the Facebook group for help, do so. So finish this worksheet and print it out and actually write your answers here. If you feel the need to edit it, you can do file and then make a copy. And then you can make a copy, or it's either file, make a copy, or it's file and download it as, and you can download it as an editable worksheet and then, make more space for yourself to edit it, or edit it digitally, whatever. You just have to fill this out, okay? So back to the slides here. So that's the first thing. Finish out the worksheet and actually really begin to define your minimum viable agency. And what we've really done here is we've gotten you a list of potential leads. We've mapped out a potential service you could bring, and we have a decent idea of the return on investment somebody could get. And these are all, again, it's okay that it's not accurate. It's okay that it's thrown together. I just need you to do this, all right? If you don't do it, it's going to be much harder for you to get started. So just do it. Just do it right now. Pause this video. Do it right now. If you don't do it, you are not going to get the same results you would if you did it. So just do it. And then the next step is take action. So now that you have a semi-decent plan in place, try and put the ideas to work and be willing to grossly and massively fail along the way. My first client paid me $900 a month and only lasted 2 months, after which they broke down, got furious with me, and wanted a full refund, even though I had the best intentions and tried my hardest to please them. And so this will happen to you, okay? It's almost guaranteed that at some point somebody's going to be very mad at you or upset with you or whatever, or you're going to overpromise and underdeliver, and that's just a part of the journey. So I want you to remove any emotions to that event happening. Just, accept it now. It will happen, and when it happens, just do what you have to do to give them their money back, make them happy, whatever, and move forward, because it will guaranteed happen. Now, in a perfect world, it won't, and we want to build your business to a point where this happens very rarely, to a point where you're not even expecting it, but it will happen, so just get over it. Next is keep in mind the only things you need, which again in the first module first day we talked about get meetings, get results, and build systems. You can overcomplicate this if you want to, but you'll just be slowing yourself down. Add to this list of 3 things that you only need 3 to 5 lifetime clients, and you'll realize truly how swift your takeover can become. So now we have a baby minimum viable agency. We've achieved it. 3 to 5 lifetime clients. All we got to focus on is get meetings, get results, and build systems. And all we really got to do is have a couple people that we believe we can serve, couple different niches, and some people within those niches that we could already reach out to now, and a service that we believe we can get. If we can't provide the service, then we get contractors, right? And next, really all we're going to talk about is building your sales process and doing the math and actually building the business. I mean, that's it. It's really, we are already that far into the process, and I want you to understand that it's nowhere near as hard as people are making it out to be, and I really want to help you make it happen. So next is avoiding pitfalls and seeing through lies. So Pitfall 1 is that it's all about sales. So at the end of the day, selling your service is what moves the needle, sure. It's what gets money in the bank, and that's what you want to focus on, right? And I told you that myself. But focusing solely on sales strategies, for example, a lot of people talk about tonalities, a lot of people develop scripts, etc., will only take you so far. And these things are fine. It's good to focus on tonalities, scripts. Those are all good. The problem is people focus on it and it alone, right? So unless you're good at what you do, sales and marketing won't play any role other than helping people discover that you suck more quickly than they would otherwise. So if you are a bad service provider, marketing yourself well will help people realize that you're a bad service provider faster. And that's not what you want, all right? You really want to take this slowly and fail quickly and then begin to build marketing systems onto this. And so I'll be teaching you some really good organic methods of getting people coming to you in this program. So I really want you to just get comfortable with failing and get comfortable with reaching out to clients, getting those meetings. And that's why I had you write out that list and really, add on some action to that. Create your own action plan for now. I may give you one here in this program. But for now, you have a good idea of what we're doing, right? So next is adding to your service list to seem more valuable. This is another pitfall. So again, we must remember that it is solely a game of return on investment for a client. Just because you do Facebook ads, chatbots, funnels, Instagram, Snapchat, and Google ads doesn't mean you're better fit than someone who solely does Facebook ads and does them well. Having a bigger service list usually waters down your agency instead of staying lean and focused on a specific tool and outcome. So a really good analogy I like to use is that people don't buy drills, they buy holes in their wall, right? And so you don't really want to care so much about what drill you use, you more so want to care about the quality of the hole that you drill for a client, right? Whether it's a $20 drill or a $500 drill, most clients won't be able to tell the difference between the hole in their wall, right? And so what you want to think about is, okay, it doesn't matter what tool I use, it only matters about the outcome. Now, I plan to, in this program, include some Facebook ad training, right? And that will be my preferred tool. It's what I really love to do for clients, is run Facebook ads to do lead generation or retargeting off of their sites to get them more revenue, things like that. But, it doesn't so much matter the tool. It matters the outcome. So the reason I'm able to sell that service is because people will pay me a certain amount of money, and in return, I'll make them, 4 to 5x the amount that they're paying me and the amount that they're spending on Facebook ads combined, right? And so I really want you to understand that. Adding to your service list is not a way to make you more valuable. Just because you do lots of different things does not mean that the outcome is different. So, just because you own different types of drills does not mean that they're all necessary to drill one single hole. You just need one drill with one bit on it, and and you just need to focus on that one specific kind of drill to create a certain kind of hole, right? Next, seeing your clients solely as numbers. So this is a really hard one for a lot of people to get over. The best clients are the ones that you connect with on a real level. And I actually had a really good coaching call today with a student where we talked a lot about this. And he and I both agreed after he closed recently a $2,000 a month client that he is connecting best and also getting the best results. And this is no coincidence for the clients in which he connects with on a personal level. Okay, so without a friendly connection, interactions will be short, uneasy, and there will be tension. Break this tension early and connect. Then later on, you can, quote, optimize the relationship by removing unnecessary communications, which is where we want to go eventually. Now, I'll show you how to only have like 1 meeting a month with clients or 2 meetings a month with clients, how to, streamline communication, whatever. But until then, there's a really good book I recommend, and it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And check it out on Amazon. Grab that book and read it through. It's a really good book, and it will teach you how to handle people well and how to connect with them, okay? Because if you are anything like me, I am naturally a bit more introverted and, not amazing with people, but good enough with people that I can operate and make great friends. And it's not like I can, rally people into battle or anything, but I'm good with people, right? And I'm not naturally that way. And so this is a skill that you need to develop in order to build a profitable business of any kind, right? Especially in a competitive marketplace like this one where, maybe they have the option between one person who will get them results and another person who will get them the same result, but the second person is easier to communicate with and more pleasurable to talk to. They're likely going to go with the second option because they have the option, right? So you want to make sure that you are connecting with people well. So these are some of the pitfalls that you may fall into, and I just want to talk about those real quick. Next, complexity lacks virtue and simplicity is wisdom. So developing a clear state of mind. With simplicity and a clear state of mind, you're able to think on a practical level instead of a purely theoretical or hypothetical one. Wisdom isn't found in big words and fancy ideas, it's in applicable, easy to grasp, and practical actions that move the needle in your life and business. So, in this course, I'm trying to, boil down what actually matters, right? There's a lot of things that you can do, and I want you to expand on the content in this course and innovate, as I said in the first video, right? But if you simply follow what is in the program, things have a high likelihood to just work, and that's what I want to do, is I've boiled down the purely necessary elements, right? Wisdom is in the simple, the applicable, the practical, and the easy to understand. Just like how just because somebody uses big words, it doesn't make them smart, it's the same thing, right? Using big words, using fancy ideas, sounding hard to, sounding smart is not the same as being smart, right? And developing a clear state of mind is basically knowing what you're after and sticking to it and it alone, and knowing what actual actions move the needle to make that happen, okay? So next is a stream that flows in multiple directions loses power. So when you're split across lots of complexities and theoretical thinking as opposed to practical wisdom, you lose momentum quickly. Simplicity of a desired outcome is the means by which we can achieve massive goals. So know what you're after and stick to it and nothing else, right? Most, quote, startups are noisy, directionless, no proof of concept, and they have very little idea of the direction that they want to head. And this is why the, quote, 95% of businesses fail is a common trope. And so our startup is quite a bit different. From the start, we are profitable by defining a service and delivering it without any more thought on the matter. We are also always, quote, productizing the service as much as possible by removing human interaction and communication throughout the process. So I hope this makes sense, right? It's not so much about having complex ideas or understanding the complexity of a given situation or system. It's more so understanding the small actions and the small things that actually change it and point it in the direction in which you want it to go. Okay, so that's really the point that I want to drive here. Next is the relentless pursuit of proof of concept. So here's a great modern example of proof of concept, and in this picture we have Palmer Luckey, who is the founder of a company called Oculus, and they're like the first virtual reality company, right? And so you can see here this little cardboard box with two lenses in it, okay? And basically this was like the first proof of concept for the Oculus, and he built it in his garage. You can see he built it with, a glue gun and, just some wood or cardboard. And really, it's not that complex of a system, and it has very few moving parts, right? And guess what that cardboard headset became? It became the Oculus Rift, which is a $400 piece of hardware for virtual reality experiences. And the company sold to Facebook for $2 billion back in, I think, like 2016, right? And I know this because I used to be super into virtual reality stuff. It was like a big deal to me, and it still is. I still totally love this stuff. And so you can see proof of concept on the left here, and then on the right you have the sexy version of proof of concept, which is after they got built or bought for $2 billion, and they have tons of equity in the business, and Facebook is like promoting it left and right, and they've sold millions of copies of this thing. Like, that's the difference, right? Is you have on the left the basic bare minimum, on the right you have bare minimum expanded upon to meet other needs, right? And the original product did 80% of what the modern product today does, which is put you in like a virtual environment where you have two lenses and two little screens on the inside, so one screen for each eye, so it is truly a 3D feeling environment. And it was almost the same product as it is today, but it only really had a few moving parts, whereas the modern version has thousands. So if we can look at V1 versus like V10, or I don't know how, it could be 20 or 30, I'm not really sure what version it is, but V1 is just a blacked out pair of cardboard goggles. We have two lenses for focusing the light from the screen. We have an LCD screen inside of the goggles, and then a gyroscope for knowing where you're looking, right? And that would like sync with whatever software or game or experience that you're playing inside of the headset, and it would actually turn your head, where you're looking within whatever experience or whatever 3D environment is going on within the pair of goggles, right? And then version 10 or whatever the current is, we have like a blacked out headset. We have a strap to keep it on. We have two lenses for focusing the light. We have foam around the headset. We have adjusters for the lenses. We have a high-res OLED screen. We have a gyroscope for knowing where you're looking. Wall-mounted sensors for tracking your movement around a room. We have two handheld controllers for interacting with the virtual environment, custom software, different games, whatever, blah, 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 right? etc., etc. And the list could go on and on and on, right? Whereas version 1 just had really 4, maybe 5 max moving parts. And so all we need is our own version of the cardboard headset. The only difference now is ease of use, some functionality changes, and better branding. We're not aiming for sexy for now. All we need is to drive a specific result. And if you think about it, the original cardboard Oculus did 80% of what the version now does. It had the screen, it had the lenses, it had, it could go onto your face and you could look around in whatever environment. It put you in a 3D environment, which is 80% of the sales pitch for the Oculus, right? And all we need to do is find that perfect mix of a few different moving parts that get us the result that we're wanting to drive with the client, right? There's no need to have an office space. There's no need to have 5 employees right now. All we need to do is just have a service that we can sell and focus on it. We need as few moving parts as possible and a service that gets results. So the relentless pursuit of proof of concept. So let me define proof of concept for you guys real quick. Proof of concept can be defined as simply as a client paying you, you're happy, and then the client is happy. And a bonus could be that the client wants to keep paying you and coming back for more. Proof of concept is super, super simple, right? It is really nowhere near as complex as people make it out to be. Client pays you, you are happy, client is happy. And then an added bonus, the client wants more. Next is finding proof of concept. So in this course, I'll encourage you to, once you find a proof of concept, stick to it and forget pretty much everything else. Until then, we'll be developing theories and testing ideas until we find it. It sounds like a grueling process, but trust me, it's much more simple than it sounds, and I'll be giving you plenty of examples of what to and what not to do along the way. So really, all this course is a means of helping you shortcut the process of discovering proof of concept, and then also showing you the systems that I have utilized that have allowed me to scale on that proof of concept. Okay, and it's really, when you think about the course that way, it is much more simple. All right. So here's a quick printout that you're going to want to go ahead and use a download for below. We've got a little link down there. Print it out, hang it on your wall, and this really is going to keep you focused, right? So you get paid, make them happy, and want to do it again. Those are the 3 elements that make up proof of concept, okay? And we've got a little quote down here as well. Proof of concept is all that matters, because without it, we are flying blind. Until we've been paid, the client is happy, and so are we. All we can do is theorize and play with abstract, useless thought. And really, I think it's important that you understand that until we're paid and until we actually have a functioning service, nothing else really matters. And that's all we're going to be doing for the next period of your business, is discovering that and then moving forward with it. Okay? So next is being effective versus being busy. And this is a really important section here, so I recommend you listen in. So being effective versus being busy. So the first point is busy work is for lazy people. Yes, it's lazy to only do work that entertains you momentarily or that allows you to pretend to be making progress. Truly effective people pre-plan their work and make sure that what they're doing actually moves them towards their goal. Lazy people don't take the time to do this because it's easier to just blindly work. And this sounds like a little bit of an oxymoron. Why would work be for lazy people? Well, there is lazy work. There is work that is easier to do. So if you truly want to be effective, find the work that is easy to do but is effective. Right? And then just work hard on the easy to do thing. And then you're actually being effective. So you're using energy, but you're putting energy into a system that creates a greater outcome. Right? So next is learn to hate busy work and love doing nothing. So I would much rather you do nothing and take the time to think than to simply do work because it feels productive. Right? So can you go a day with a pen and a notepad and think through your problems and spend no time on your laptop? If not, you need to learn to hate busy work and love doing nothing. And what I'm not telling you to do is to just simply do nothing. All right? I'm not saying that you're going to be able to build a business on nothing. What I'm saying is that spending time in thought and spending time intentionally doing nothing to take a step back every once in a while is a habit that you need to develop. And if you can't do that, it shows me that you're a busy worker and that you find enjoyment in simply working just to simply work. And that's not where you want to be. That is not virtuous. That is not good. Work is not defined as, physical or mental exertion. It's more so, it can be defined as moving things or building things and things that actually matter and moving things that actually need to be moved, right? Next is only do what matters. So get meetings, get results, and build systems, as I said in the first day. This is as simple as running an agency can be. If you focus on anything else, you're wasting time and potential. Social media, YouTube, reading books aimlessly all wastes your time and must be controlled. Identify the key power tasks that actually move the needle and do nothing else. So there's a really good quote, and I believe it's by Tim Ferriss. And he talks about, it's not so much a quote, it's more an idea. You have just-in-time information, which is information that actually helps you in the moment and tells you what to do, and then you have just-in-case information. And just-in-case information is like, reading a lot of books, which is totally fine. I think it's great. Spending time on YouTube, either learning things or just wasting time is not good, but learning things for just-in-case information and social media, using it to learn, that's all fine, but just-in-time information actually moves the needle, right? So when I say reading books aimlessly, I mean reading books just to read books. My whole library is books that have helped me move forward. It's not books that are simply there to be read, right? I read autobiographies on people that I believe are worth modeling. I read books that give practical advice that actually I can implement and that help me move the needle, right? And that's really all that matters. The next point is if you insist on working hard and not smart. So working hard is good, sure, but it's useless if you're not working on what matters. So you want to work hard? Go fill a large tote bag with rocks, bricks, and metal and lug it a few miles. This will be hard. You'll get nothing done, though, because there's no reason why these heavy objects need moving. So I hope you understand this analogy, and it's one that I use often for students of mine and people that I'm helping out. Look, hard work is virtuous if put into the right place, but don't think that it alone is what builds something, okay? You want to work smart and on things that matter. So I would almost rather you do nothing than extend energy in a place that doesn't matter, because in doing nothing you can think. And you can theorize, and you can come up with new tests that you want to play, and then you put in the work to test those things. All right? So moving on. Here's your action item, so we're going to wrap up the module here. So first, print out the MVA worksheet and complete it. If you don't, you won't make good progress, so do it. Number 2 is print out the proof of concept printout, and this is less necessary but still highly helpful, and if you have it on your wall, it will be a good reminder of what you actually have to focus on in order to just build proof of concept. And then lastly, if you need help, use the Facebook Mastermind. So, this is necessary. Post what you've learned so far into the group and share what you're gaining from the training so far. Interact with others who have done the same and make good friends. That's really what I want you to do. I want you to use that mastermind to the best of your ability to make new friends, to share successes and share failures, and share what you're learning. And that's really what I need from you. So that's about it for this module. Remove noise and just focus on what moves the needle. Forget all else. You've got this. So thank you for watching all of day 2. Hope you got a lot out of it. Take on the action items, and I'll see you in the next module.